Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about Alien Romulus.
Alien Romulus. It is the new one. It is, how do we describe?
What do you mean, how do we describe it?
I'm baffled at the fact that I have nothing to say about the title of a sequel, because that never happens. That never happens. It's just a regular, straightforward, this is Alien Romulus.
It's Alien Romulus. I think it's relatively consistent with the branding of the franchise. I think it all works pretty smooth. The timeline's a little wonky, but the movie makes it pretty clear. For any of you who are curious, this takes place in the franchise timeline between the film Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
So that's where this film takes place. And it's the new one that is out in theaters right now. And as we do anytime that we talk about a new TV show or movie, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. So in case you're on the fence about watching it, not sure if it's worth your time, or just want a taste of the episode before you do check it out, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme music, that is when we will enter the spoiler-filled section. So let's start with the spoiler-free review. Let's start with the usual, the simple question. Diana, did you like it?
I really liked it. This is a really good movie. This movie is probably like as high a like as you can get for me before you get to a love. There's like one thing I hated that's holding it back from love territory, but like I've cruised down like Avenue and I'm about to turn onto Love Street, but I haven't made the turn, but I'm as far down the street as you can go. This is a great Alien movie. It's tense. It's got really cool set pieces, great performances. Stuff looks cool. There's like new stuff, but there's old stuff that meshes really well. They're not reinventing the wheel, but like there's also wheels here and there's some other wheels. there's a lot of fun alien lore happening that isn't too like up its ass, which sometimes happens. Prometheus. So no, I thought this was, it was tense, it was fun, but it was scary. New stuff happened. I can like list like 5 different cool set pieces that happened, but I won't because it's the spoiler-free review. A great Alien movie. Go see it in theaters if you like a cool, tense Alien film. I really, really enjoyed it. Andrew, did you like Alien Romulus?
We couldn't be more on the same page. I think it was great.
Excellent.
Like, I think it was truly great. It is a same thing with me, where I'm like, this is as close to a love that something can get before it becomes a love. But I think it's just incredible. I think it is fantastic. I think that it is that perfect in between of like it is loving to everything the Alien franchise has been without reading like a Wikipedia page. It has lore for the fans, but it's not so canonized that it's up its own ass.
Yeah.
And it adds some fresh takes that still feel like spiritual successors to the scenes and the setting and the tone that this franchise brings to the table. So I think it is everything. It's something for fans. It is something for new fans. The movie is all rise. I will say that is an incredible thing about this movie. Sitting down to watch it, I would say like at first, my initial impressions of this movie is that I was like, oh, okay, this movie's going to be fine. And then I was like, oh, this movie actually might be like, okay. This movie, I think, actually might be good. Oh my God, are we entering great territory? And then my mouth was agape for an hour. Like I looked messed up. I was edge of my seat, pushed back, triple chin, like the whole.
Andrew was the alien for a bit. He played the alien at the end here.
I was shook. It is a really wild ride that they send you on, and oh my God, they do a great job of it. Great performances, great visuals. I'm down for this movie.
That is a great point that I hadn't thought of, because I feel like the last like 5 or 6 movies we reviewed that were new were like Act 1 ruled and then it was all downhill from there. This movie is a true rise throughout. Not that Act 1's even bad, but Act 1 is like, they set it up, you meet the people, you decide if you like them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It just gets better and better and better as it goes. It is just a drive down increasingly good alley.
Yeah, an incredible rise throughout. So yeah. I love it, and I also agree. See it in theaters. It looks incredible. It sounds incredible. Just everything about it. It was It was a magnificent theatrical experience. I will say that.
Magnificent.
Well.
Have we used that word before?
I'm dusting off magnificent for this.
Holy shit. Look out.
This is a get to a theater to see it. Even if you are like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I still think I'm only 52% interested in seeing this movie. If you're over the fence at all, if you are more willing to see it than not see it, go, please see it in a theater. It is terrifically done in a theater.
It is. It was actually supposed to be released on Hulu, and they were like, no, it's too good.
Yeah.
We got to release this, which explains why there's no stars in it. Because it's like, you look at the IMDb, you're like, who's any of these people?
If this was a direct-to-consumer home release, and I don't mean to belittle or disrespect those, because there are some incredible direct-to-home release movies out there, pieces of that fantastic art with great performances. There's a lot of great stuff. But just the look and sound of this alone, I'm like, this never should have been anything other than a theatrical. There never should have been a seed of doubt that this was anything other than a theatrical experience.
Yeah, especially in a post-COVID world, which I only bring up because I'm going to compare this movie a lot to Prey.
Yes, I can fully understand that.
Which was released on Hulu, but it was like a COVID-y, like everyone's watching streaming kind of release. And like I feel like they have the same level of it's our own thing, but it's very kind to the original.
We're honoring the source material while making it our own.
Yes,
yeah.
I think it's very similar to Prey in that regard. I think it's not as good as Prey, but it's very, very good.
Ooh,
I don't think it's as good as Prey.
That's a tough one.
But I would accept a debate, though.
I would have to rewatch Prey to have a fresher perspective in that regard. I need to give them both some rewatching and distance in order to kind of properly come at that debate.
But I'm glad Alien and Predator both now have like a cool standalone new thing.
Yeah. A cool new creatives who understood the assignment.
They got an A.
Yeah.
Not a plus. But an A is a really good mark.
All right. So, and can it be spoiled?
Yes, it can be spoiled.
I also agree that it can.
Several different things that would be spoily here.
Yeah, some things that I was quite surprised by. I don't know if me describing them in an audio medium would really remove the intensity of the moments, you know, but I still think that it is nice to just kind of go in blank and be like, it's a movie with Alien. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what aliens this time.
And just kind of experience it. So I agree that it can be spoiled a little bit.
So yeah, if you're thinking of seeing it, as we highly recommended you do, turn this off right now. Turn it back on when you leave the theater.
Yeah.
You'll thank us.
We think it's great, and we think it can be spoiled. So let's get in now to the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk more about Alien
Romulus.
There it is. All right, so we have seen Alien Romulus. We are now in the spoiler-filled section. I am glad you also had a terrific time with this.
Oh, it felt so nice to have a terrific time through the entirety of a movie. I really liked not just enjoying parts of a movie for the first time in a while. This was a wonderful theater experience. It shut up some assholes in our theater. That's how good it was. We got there and we were like, oh, fuck, these people
You know when the vibes don't feel right?
The vibes were very bad. People were on their phones. They were talking really loud in the trailers. We're like, oh, this is going to be no good.
And it's like, you know what? You're allowed to be on your phone and talk during the trailer. But you know when there's like an amount of talking and being on your phone during the trailers where you're like, I don't think they're winding down.
Yeah, the whole crowd felt that way. But this movie started and I didn't see a phone. I didn't hear a whisper. I heard one person say one thing one time, and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah. I would say like it's akin to like when you see a car going too fast towards a red light, and you're like, do they see the red light? There is still time for them to stop, but they haven't started the stopping process yet. And it's that kind of vibe, but in a theater of people talking and on their phone.
A little bit of tension. You're like, oh no, I'm about to see an accident.
Yeah.
An accident where I'll have to yell at somebody.
And then they hit the brakes. And
I didn't have to yell at anybody.
They stopped at the red light. Everything was great. It was a fine theatrical experience. It was really good. But I do think that this movie is all rise. I would say that when it started out, I was very medium on this film because the first act of this, kind of similar to to the original Alien is just kind of like introducing the cast of characters in a very different way and in a different setting, but just being like, here's who we're going to be with for a little while. You can get a vibe. There's some assholes, there's some adventurers, there's some cool ones, there's a robot. We've got
they ticked all the boxes.
We've got the classic crew, and it was a very kind of traditional setup similar to the original Alien in many regards. And it was like I still just didn't really quite care about these people. They weren't as funny as in an ensemble. The assholes were assholes in kind of the wrong way.
He was too much of an asshole, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't really like these people, and maybe it's my age showing as well, but I was just like, I don't really care about these teens. I liked when it was adults doing a job. I don't really like now that it's like plucky orphans who might be able to get it done.
Space orphans.
Everyone's
always. Are you rooting against space orphans?
I actively was.
I absolutely agree. And this is actually going to be a fun episode because I think all my negatives are off the top because I completely agree that I was like, look at all these youths. Like, we need an adult. Absolutely, these children need an adult. They need a mentor figure or something. Because this isn't like a plucky youth. Like, this isn't like the Faculty kind of horror movie where it's like hot teens doing dumb things. Like, this isn't a 2000s Scream kind of thriller, which is what I thought when I saw like all young people in the cast. I was like, oh, it's going to be like a sexy killing movie, a Scream, a Faculty, something like that. But this is like a true Alien movie, and everyone just happens to be, they're not teens, they're probably in their 20s, but they give off the vibes of teens.
They are
space teens.
They are essentially, as far as the marketing department of a film is concerned, teens and attractive to teens.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So I also was like, we need adults here, please. But they won me over eventually as we went. I think especially Andy, my phone won't unlock.
Oh, David Johnson.
David Johnson.
Yeah,
Andy,
played by David Johnson, who does a phenomenal job.
There's not really a bad performance here.
I'm gonna agree. Even the guy who plays the asshole, I'm like, it's written like too much of an asshole. It's not quite redeemed in any way. It isn't motivated in a way that quite works. But I'm like, you're doing everything right. You were told to play this like the dick, and it's up to the filmmakers to portray it in a way that kind of like is a little complicated or isn't too much, and they didn't do a good service to that performer in that regard. But the performer, I think, did a good job of just like, I'm an asshole, I'm playing it like you told me to play it.
I think he did do a good job. I also don't even mind, like, in the moment, I was like, man, he's being way too much of an asshole to Andy just because he's a robot. But also at the same time, when he died, it was kind of made it more fun because he died in like mostly every other character. I was like, oh no, they were pretty nice or they were a good person. And he died, and I was like, oh, I just get to watch a cool death. And then the rest I'll care about. I'll care about the rest of them.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw in a fun one there at the end because I didn't like him. I guess though, I will say this is maybe very Canadian of me, and I apologize that I think the performances were good. I will say, couldn't understand a few lines.
Oh, really? Okay.
The accents were a little mumbly and a little too quiet.
There were, I felt like...
Especially off the top.
And
then it cleared up.
Weirdly, the sound mix got better as the movie went on. I agree. It wasn't even just the accents. It was just the like, and now here we are on the mining planet. Listen to everyone on the street. And then they're walking down the street and they're like, well, but Andy was first. Yeah, and then you just hear like, you can hear everyone screaming in the marketplace. I'm like, this is a bad, and especially in a theater, you shouldn't have a bad sound mix.
Yeah, and they get to, when Rain gets to the place where they describe what they're going to do. They're going to go and steal cryo tubes. Like, it's like 6 of them in a room and they're talking over each other, but they're kind of whispering and mumbling and their accents aren't very clear. But then you get to space, and I guess in space they can hear you scream. Because once they get to space, I'm like, crystal clear.
The horror thriller sections, sound mixing of like soundtrack with sound effects and just kind of pacing and everything really works and is incredibly crisp. And yeah, just a few moments where the audio mix isn't quite great for dialogue work. And I do want to say as well, because like David Johnson, who plays Andy, the android, is doing a tour de force performance. It is absolutely remarkable.
Wow. This like two-faced performance he has to do of a like less intelligent droid and then an upgraded, very intelligent droid is phenomenal. And also just his droid work, like just his mime, like having to pretend to be super duper strong work.
Yeah.
Everything across the board. He is goddamn nailing it. It is so enthralling. His performance is off the charts. It's the smallest thing, but there's this moment where his character gets rebooted, so he completely freezes. And they can't move him because he's a robot. He's super strong. And the way he tensed his body looked so natural.
Yeah.
So powerful.
I don't even know. I don't know if they used visual effects or if he's just that good at mime work.
Yeah.
But like it's crazy that it's impossible to tell the difference between when or if it was special effect or incredible mime work. Yeah.
But yeah, all across the board, loved this guy. So good.
And the changing of, because like halfway through the movie or like early on in the movie, he is a droid that has been defective, that has been kind of adopted by this family. And it was one that was like set for destruction, but has now been adopted and has more of a human type life. Than your typical droid that is owned by Weyland-Yutani, and then at some point gets this a little mini disc with scientific upgraded procedures on it, and then becomes the I'm a Weyland-Yutani employee who just wants to make sure that the alien, which has value, gets back to the company. And that switch is so good because like not only is it the language and the pacing and the way he delivers, he doesn't have that little stutter start anymore. He really does this beautiful thing, I think, where it's like nothing is, even though it is big and it is a bold decision that he absolutely nails, nothing's hammy. You know what I'm, because I do feel like I've seen versions of this where like an actor is full on doing like a heavy stutter off of the start to be like, but I'm the broken android and I need to be fixed. But he only does a stutter for like under his breath and only at the start of sentences where it's just like, and Andy, where is it we're going today? Like, and it's only, he gets 3 syllables and they get quiet and they get louder. He has chosen the most human-esque middle ground for what these foibles of the character are, and it makes it so real, and it makes it not up its own ass. And even the switch that he does between the like, I'm the unconfident, the unconfident human side android to the like, I'm the hyper competent killing machine company android. It's not a wild swing. He's not going from 1 to 10. He's always going from 3 to 8, which is the most interesting fucking choice.
It is, and a lot of times I would say those aren't interesting choices, but you're right. Every other extreme would be too campy, especially for the Alien movie we're in. Like if he went 1 to 10 for the stutter and 10 for like the I'm now a very British killing robot and I just do whatever's logical, it would have been very like, this is an Alien movie full of teens. It would have been like Jason X in space. It would have been like, that's too much. Now you're silly. But you're actually like, you feel like a real person, but you also feel like a robot.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening here.
Yeah, I think like and this is a terrific actor, but I feel like the hammy too much version of this when actors do it is like the James McAvoy in Split.
He is a very good actor, but he goes very big on the Split character.
He goes very big on the like, but now I'm a little British girl. And it's like, just fuck off, James.
I don't think any of the Splits were robots, but
that level of like, we've got to just fuck off, James. Come, we get it. You can do different characters. You don't need to show us. Find where those characters intersect. And this actor, David Johnson, does a phenomenal job of finding where they intersect. I also think that Kaylee Spaney, who plays the lead character of Rain, who plays like, you know, the strong female protagonist, the classic Ripley type, I think she gives off like just real strong Florence Pugh energy this whole time where I'm like, you fucking rule. I am down. You are charismatic. Like you're not giving the performance that David Johnson is as Andy, but you don't have 2 personalities and a wild thing to play with. You are just playing a cool, badass action hero to the maximum capacity that someone can play that, and it rules.
Yeah, Kaylee Spaney didn't get like an orphan black-esque role like David Johnson did, which is like rare in this world. It's a real treat for an actor. But she got to be badass female lead, which is a different treat in a different way.
Yeah.
And she was also very good. Yeah, like very good at being like, I'm tough and powerful, but like that's not all I am. But I care about people, and I also don't know what's going on, but not in an eccentric, hysterical way.
I'm scared, but reasonably so, and I'm brave, but reasonably so.
And I'm finding solutions, and I'm not just bringing up problems and not giving any way around them. Yeah, no, they did great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good performances here.
Yeah.
I would like to get to the set pieces if we can.
Sure. Before we go to set pieces,
What would you like?
I would like to go there because like those set pieces rule. I want to goof on something real quick.
Oh, of course.
And then I want to, because like I don't want to slam all of our positives back to back of like the performances are incredible. Let's talk about set pieces. I want to goof for a second. And I know I shouldn't be bringing my goddamn Prometheus baggage into this film.
We've been hurt, babe. There's trauma.
There is trauma here. There is some generational trauma here. There is one of the premises of this movie is all of these teens are basically in indentured servitude, where it's like they have to pay to live on the company planet for the luxury of working, and the company is then just like, well, we've increased your cost of living, you have to pay your way out, which is just a classic evil corporation move. Financially, like the motivation of an evil corporation, this all tracks and makes sense. But it is still something where I'm like, I didn't need a 9th version of currency that's happening in this fucking universe.
Oh God, the Prometheus money again?
It's not even just the Prometheus money.
I know, I just told you your trauma is valid, but I'm like, I didn't think this was going to be about the money.
It is the fact that it's like in Alien, people only talk about shares. And I'm like, is it shares of the loot or shares of the company that you're paid in because your company employees, your conscripts or whatever like that? And I'm like, whatever, it's shares. And then Prometheus introduced that the US dollar still exists. And I'm like, what the fuck? But there's
I think it also had credits?
There's also galactic credits that are a thing now. And now this movie introduces indentured servitude where they're paying off time, like the movie Time, starring Justin Timberlake.
That movie was called In Time?
In Time. And then on top of that, too, it's just like, oh, I've got 20 years left on my time. And then someone's like, I'll bet you $20. And I'm like, how are you betting them $20? You pay in time. None of this makes any fucking sense. Stop adding new currencies to whatever. Like, I don't want to be the lore police, but please just pick a fucking lane. Pick a if two characters are making a bet, have one of them to be like, I'll take 1 year off of your company time if I lose this bet. Don't bet $20. What does that get anyone? What are we doing with? I'm furious. I'm furious.
I mean, they tied into Prometheus where American dollars still existed. So,
and galactic credits, and also now the time from the film In Time with Justin Timberlake.
Now we just have human time, which also counts.
So
Andrew hates traveling to other countries, you guys. I can't fucking stand it. What's a pound? How dare you?
You're a fucking movie. Pick a choice. Pick a something.
I think it's quite realistic that a universe has multiple currencies. Earth has like 18. Actually, 18 is probably wildly low.
I'm not saying it's not possible. Yeah, 18 might be wildly.
18's crazy low.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I am saying it's distracting.
It is distracting for no reason.
Yeah, and especially when it's a group of people in the same room. The galaxy maybe has a bunch of different ones.
If you've got a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque movie, which is people from different planets. Everyone's from the same planet.
Yeah.
We've only got, we're all from
They should
Earth.
all be converting to whatever the galactic currency is, which it seems like is a thing. But that's just me. That's not a real criticism. That's a goof criticism.
You know what?
Because I'm bringing my old baggage here.
I'm going to throw in a goof just like as a reminder, because I'm reminded of a text from Superheroes years ago, because in Iron Fist, the currency in Kunlun is just coins. Just coins.
Just coins.
Which at least is standardized.
Yeah.
They don't even need a name for it because it's just coins.
One standard coin.
So maybe you can
no
go
bill,
with coins?
just coins.
Oh, they don't take bills.
They don't take bills.
It's too cold in Kunlun?
They haven't made it up to...
The bills blow away.
Well, you'd think you'd want bills rather than a cold chunk of metal in your hands, but...
The bills blow away.
Yeah, bills blow away. It's too windy in Kunlun is the problem.
Mm-hmm. All right,
okay.
so
well,
you're mad. So you're mad about currency.
I'm mad about currency.
I support you.
The set pieces you wanted to talk about.
I think all of them are cool. I mean, right off the bat, we go into like... finding the cryo chamber was like fine. It was cool, whatever. The gravity turns off. But like going into the room full of face huggers. And then face huggers are a huge problem throughout this movie. But in a way that I thought I was really going to not like at first, how many there were. And it didn't bother me as we went.
Oh, interesting.
Because Alien is such a like... Because I think of like... This is only like Alien 1.5 technically. Because it's between Alien and Aliens. And I'm like, man... In Alien, it was one face hugger, one alien, and we had so many problems. So I really, in my heart, I'm like, there shouldn't be this many face huggers. There's no way you're surviving.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind at the end of the day. I love the room full of face huggers. I love raising the temperature so they can't detect you. as
Yeah.
you walk through.
Yeah.
Although I feel like the tension of that scene really got like undercut with the editing. But I really liked the idea because they kept cutting back to the pregnant girl who was trying to get away.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my right off the top. I'm like the facehugger room temperature sneaking by them was like a really fun, tense new thing for the lore.
And
that wasn't like too extreme a new thing. I'm like, okay, temperature, sure.
And a new thing as well, where like even just simple things to be like, well, we fought it with fire before, now let's fight it with a cryo gun. Extremes in temperatures where like things that are just like, it's a simple twist. It's enough that it's not boring, but it's also like enough that it still is just kind of the same thing, but it's engaging again to be like, we're fighting. And even just small world building stuff. Like it's like they need the cryo juice to fill the cryo tubes for a long space travel. And where did they get it? They got it from this room. And by taking it out, it meant that the facehuggers weren't frozen anymore. And I feel like that's just like the type of environmental storytelling that they were not explicit about. And I really like it when films do that. It's just a very simple leap of faith in the audience's ability to watch the film, or just our ability to, if we didn't notice it, just to let go and be like, the facehuggers are here now. Oh no. But the idea that it's like the cryo tubes are being pulled out, an alarm goes off because you are not supposed to remove the cryo tubes from this room.
Do not release the facehuggers. There should be a sign.
And that's why
Put
the
up a
doors
sign, aliens.
and that's why the doors lock on them. And then they even have the line of like, a room with some cryotube storage shouldn't have this type of emergency lock. And it's just a little thing like that where I'm like, they never outright say later to be like, oh, that did that because of that. They're just like, you're smart enough to figure that out as an audience. You can put that together.
That part is that part they do treat us very smart, which is kind of surprising because later when the bad part starts, which is the robot just explains everything over and over again, I didn't like that. So this part though was very much just like, you know what aliens are. We're not even going to explain like that's the Nostromo. I mean, they do a little bit later, but like they really let you just like. They don't
that whole opening sequence as well of like getting the alien out of the Nostromo wreckage and like cutting it apart. I'm like, that was cool too. That was really cool visuals. That set the vibes really
I like
nice.
when they presume your knowledge of the franchise is just the very like general knowledge. Like not like the deep cut, this happened in one scene one time. It's like, you know what aliens are.
Yeah.
This isn't your first alien movie. And even if it is, you know what the alien is. You probably know the Nostromo, but they don't like assume you know the fine details, which I like.
It's not Prometheus where it's like, you know the corporate state of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, correct?
You know who the big white guys with the blood oil blood are.
Yeah. You know the progenitor species and also
architects.
the current shareholding status of Weyland-Yutani in the year that they became a singular company after the corporation wars. You know
there's
that,
U.S.
right?
dollars and galactic credits,
You know about the galactic credits, right?
We all know about the This movie doesn't do that.
This doesn't-
Even though it does introduce time money.
But that's me bringing. I'm bringing my shit into
They
the
don't
drift.
make it a plot point like Prometheus did.
Yes. Yeah. So I do really like that about this, is that there is a lot where they kind of assume some intelligence there. And yeah, I like the raising the temperature for the face huggers. But you were saying like every set piece, really, not just the face hugger thing.
Every set piece, I mean, like this is jumping to the end when like turning off the gravity so you can shoot them and then the acid blood floats in the air. Holy shit, that's a great sequence.
Floating through a minefield of acid blood, using the gun recoil to move you through 0G.
Like a little backpack full of air, but with a gun?
It just fucking ruled. And it was so tense. I was clenched up. I was shocked. I didn't know what was going to happen. My butthole was locked tight that whole last hour of this movie.
That sequence made me feel like I'd never seen movies before.
It felt like a wholly new thing.
Because I was like, oh, I guess they're both gonna die. And this is one of those alien movies where everyone dies, which can happen. So I was like, oh, wow, yeah, they're just about to get murdered. No way out of this.
Yeah.
And then, coming up with and just the subtle things, even like Andy's holding her on the ground while she's shooting them so that she doesn't float away during the 0G and she can keep her like locked on. I was like, there is so much care in this sequence.
It just
rules.
rules.
And she also just gets to kill a bunch of aliens like a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
awesome. Very, very cool set piece.
Absolutely cool.
Absolutely adore this.
And another one where it's just like it has just enough of the lore and canon in there where it's like they have the guns and one dude's like, oh, it's from the Colonial Marines, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's the gun from the video game, which is it's just a popular video game set in their universe about
I just assumed it was Aliens.
I think they might also
Marines.
use the same one in Aliens, but either way, it's just like, yeah, that's a little something for you. But if not, you as an audience member know what the word Marine is and the word gun, and you piece together everything that you need. And I'm like, that's the
figured out gun.
That's the right level of attention to lore, where it's like, here is a thing for those of you who know the thing. And if not, it has 2 keywords where you can all put together what it is you need to put together through context.
All right, well,
Yeah, the acid, zero-G acid battle was just incredible.
Well, you said that was the right amount of lore. Here's the unright amount of lore. Some would say the wrong amount of lore. I hated the Ash robot coming back.
It was miserable.
It was horrendous. I don't like the idea of it, and I don't like the execution of it.
I actually also wrote down the word horrendous.
Oh!
Horrendous is exactly exactly how I described it.
Gavel, law. The robot was horrendous.
Horrendous.
Absolutely. The de-aging, the CG, the fact that he was there at all.
Yeah.
For me, all horrendous.
Ian
Holm has passed away, you guys.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Apparently, they got the blessing of the estate in some regard. I don't know what that involves, but so regardless to the legality of the estate blessing of this and that, I would say that, like, I'm not even against the concept of it. I would say that, like, if it was just a little thing, if it was kept in shadow, then it would be like, oh, okay. I think it would even be more respectful if it was just an animatronic and a voice actor doing a voice match, rather than whatever deep fake shit that they did. Because, like, it's a robot. Who has been decapitated. You famously had a scene with a janky robot in the first Alien movie. Just use an animatronic, and especially for a movie that has a lot of practical stuff. Like,
most
the face huggers are practical, and like, it looks great. And there's a lot of sneaky visual effects in here as well. But I'm like, why is this like Henry Cavill's lip bad? Like, it looks nasty.
It looks bad, and he has such a big role. I was like, oh, he's gonna have like 2 lines and then he'll break down completely. And then he just keeps coming back. He's doing exposition upon exposition. He has a big second death scene at the end when the station hits the asteroid belt. Not to jump to my what would you change, because this isn't it. But like you said, like only have them like animatronic. I would say only have recorded footage, and the android is actually wasted. Like, the android is completely destroyed.
Yes.
And they find like footage that they play, because
Yeah.
whenever they showed him on a screen, I was like, oh, that looks great, and it feels so original Alien.
I did not mind
This feels so much more respectful.
And it's
whenever
just a
he's
JPEG
talking.
of him. It doesn't animate on the screen either.
Yeah, just talking to him. So if they were just like found footage and he was like, we've discovered the alien and it's the goo and you got to bring it to Weyland-Yutani or whatever. And then like you still take the chip out of him, so Andy like still gets like the new directives.
Yep.
And so like, but yeah, I was just like, this is actually the reason this movie is not a love for me for the most part.
It sucks.
It's mostly this.
It sucks.
This felt like this movie, everything else about this movie is like, we're doing our own like spin on Alien. And then this part is like, we were too scared to do our own spin on Alien.
Yeah.
It's like bringing RDJ Black to play Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
It's like really desperate, and I don't like it, even if I would definitely like it 10% more if Ian Holm was alive and did the performance himself. But even then, I'd be like, ugh, desperation. You really didn't think this movie could just do it on its own, huh?
This is so fan servicey. Are you kidding me?
Fan servicey. Because, like, original Ash is an incredible character. This is called Rook, by the way, not Ash.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same robot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was lame, and I hated it. And also, he like mentioned stuff from Prometheus, and I was like, boo!
Boo you.
Boo your Prometheus lore!
Yeah. And it's just
Double down of things I don't like.
And it's the level of like cameo. Here's a thing that you like. Here's a reference to a thing in the middle of something that feels so. Everything around this feels so heartfelt and so original and so fresh.
Because it's a movie full of teens. Like, it's young and new. It's like, we don't need that old shit.
Yeah. And then just in the middle of it is just this scene from Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, it is
Electra's here, you guys.
Yeah, it's just to be like, here's references. You know references, right? And I'm like, I know references. And, you know, it's debatable whether or not that's enjoyable for a whole movie. Listen to our Deadpool and Wolverine episode.
Mm-hmm.
But when it does not tonally belong there and also just visually looks like trash, it just visually even if I was heartfelt on board to be like, I love that character, I love that he's back, I think it's a great narrative device, I would still be like, it looks like shit.
Shit.
You shit the bed. The people who you fucked up in making this.
I see why the rest of this movie was as practical as you could be.
Yeah.
Or you spent all your money on the end, which is its own conversation, which we'll talk about.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. So, I can't believe that we both used the word horrendous in our notes.
Great.
Yeah. And then practical stuff like the face huggers, which just look absolutely incredible.
The face huggers look great. I mean, someone does play the alien, so I assume at some point there's actually a suit guy in a suit there, but like it's going between CG and practical seamlessly for the alien and the face huggers.
Yeah.
So that's always like that's kind of the dream spot.
Yeah.
That's where you want it to be.
And for references that I like Andy saying, "Get away from her, you bitch."
Hate it.
You hated that?
Hated that.
Ah, I didn't mind that one.
I hated that. Well, here's reasons I hated it.
Lay it on me.
Again, it's like stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need so many references. I also hate it because this movie is before Aliens, so now Ripley is quoting Andy.
Interesting.
In the timeline of events, Ripley is now quoting Andy when she says, "Get away from her, you bitch."
I hadn't thought about it like that. That's a very silly, but
that's a silly reason I don't
silly
like
but
it.
fair. You know what? If I get the currency thing, you get that. I'm giving you that.
A less silly reason is because Andy, I don't think is the lead of this movie. I think Rain is, and I think a fun turnaround of this would be if she was protecting Andy and said, "Get away from him, you bitch." Because then it's a gender switcheroo.
I don't mind
and that makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I would like that more, but I still actually would have liked if they just stood on their own. Also, I really didn't like Andy saying it just because I'm like, this robot has never overcome his programming in this way before to like be a badass.
To be sassy.
He hasn't like broken through his programming at any point to suddenly do this. So it just felt unmotivated.
I get that.
So I didn't care for it, but I'm sorry that you liked it, and I've just shit on your fun.
No, it's entirely fine. I think that the other kind of fan service dig moment that we did boo because it was part of the it was part of the Rook stuff is the Prometheus ooze, which is that they dug deep into the xenomorph and they managed to find the progenitor ooze. That they were like, it can make the ultimate predator or it can begin life, in reference to the big guy in Prometheus drinking it and then falling into a river on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago, or billions of years ago, which is what spawned life on the planet because a dude drank some ooze here once, because that's the life-giving ooze or the ultimate predator ooze. We don't know.
I am of two minds on this. I hate that Prometheus is referenced. I hate that there's a weird lore dump in the middle of this where rats get weird and stuff happens. I think it's like boring and I'm not interested in it. But it leads to the human-alien hybrid, which fucking rules.
It does fucking
So
rule.
I can't cut it. Or I have to find some other way to get to human-alien hybrid.
Yeah.
Because the human-alien hybrid can't be cut.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is haunting. Holy shit. That thing rules.
It rules. So that's the final set piece I wanted to talk about, that this guy rules. He's the creepiest man I've ever met in my life.
He is somewhere in between the progenitor species, like the engineers, and a xenomorph, because he has a tail and a weird back of the head, but is gigantic and white.
And yeah, and has like human-esque features. Yeah, but you can see the architect progenitor species in the look. You're like, oh, okay, so we've circled back around of the architects made the aliens, now we've moved the aliens with humans, or that made humans, and now we've merged them together, and we've almost got architects again. But yeah, just the way he moved, his eyes, the way he would look at you.
Yeah.
The creepiest guy I've ever seen. So I can't risk cutting him by hating the stuff about Prometheus.
I fully understand. It's and even the stuff about Prometheus, I hate that it's from Prometheus, but the general, like, we made some magic goo out of the thing and you can inject it into someone, and if you're infected, maybe do that or whatever. I'm like, it's very Resident Evil, and I'm so into that in many ways.
Oh, fuck,
But-
Andrew loves
oh,
when
I
you get
love it.
injected with the goo.
Oh, I love it. Oh, no, you're infected. You injected yourself with the goo for the greater good, and it's betrayed you. I love it.
Oh, it didn't affect you. It went into your baby. Classic.
Classic. Oh, we've got a Blade Daywalker type of situation happening.
Oh, it's Ellie.
Put it into my veins. I love it, and that creature looks messed up. Oh my god.
He looks messed up, and like it's weird that like when an alien's born, I'm like, alien, murder machine. He's ready to kill. And this guy's born and he like looks messed up and he's killing, but I'm also like, there's this weird maternal human part of me that I hate that I'm like, he's just a baby.
Yeah.
I saw him come out of a human woman.
I saw him go back to his mother for sustenance as she milked. She was
yes.
lactating the alien goo.
Oh, is that what was, she wasn't just bleeding?
No, that was her. She put her hand down her shirt and pulled out like a bunch of
That's what
alien
was
goo.
happening. Thank you. I
And
thought
that's
her-
why he was coming for her.
I thought her blood just became black because she injected herself because she'd been bleeding. She got
Ah,
stabbed.
I understand.
But
I think the
yours
implication
is-
there was that the sustenance she provides is, I think, whatever kind of weird embryonic fluid that is the goo that the xenomorphs are normally coated in.
I love that explanation, actually. I think that's great of why he like cruises up on her and kills her in a weird way.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And then it leads to literally the scariest shot in the movie that I loved. Rain has like opened the cargo bay and is like pulling herself back up the rope to get back into the ship. And it's Rain's POV outside of her spacesuit. And then all of a sudden the human alien hybrid is just in front of her and he's fucked up from the airlock going off. And it's so scary.
Just screaming at her, and it's like, oh my god, this is messed up.
It's messed up because, like, in space, you shouldn't be able to hear him scream, but there's enough air coming out of the cargo bay lock that I guess the sound's still traveling.
Yeah.
It's literally the scariest thing that's happened to me in an alien movie.
And a beautiful shot because while all this is happening too, when the camera does pull back, this is them in their like smaller escape ship. You can see the giant space station in the background still fully colliding, still slowly colliding into the asteroid belt around the planet. And that was haunting to me as well. Then I'm like, you can still see the last adventure polishing off in the background while this is going on. And that is such a cool set piece. It is a visual spectacle. And I was ripping the armrest off my chair. That was so scary the whole time.
The whole sequence was awesome. I will nitpick slightly and just goof around that I think it's very dumb that the only way to release the cargo bay is from inside the cargo bay. You must die with the cargo.
Yeah, that doesn't make a ton of sense if you think about it, does
Doesn't
it?
make a lot of like you just want to get out of there while you're in the cargo bay.
Yeah,
Because if she
interesting.
didn't have the rope on, she'd just be dead. And
Yeah,
I
that's a
assume
good
you
point.
just generally want to get rid of your cargo sometime.
Yeah, maybe. I would
There must
imagine
be a
it's also.
second way?
I would imagine it's also designed to be like you're dropping off the cargo, in which case it might be fine to be down there. Yeah, you shouldn't have the
And
overrides in
again,
there.
they love making you hit a bunch of switches, huh? You got to hit 4 levers.
classic Resident Evil
This
is
is
influenced by
This
this.
is classic Weyland Yutani architecture right
Yes,
here.
it
I mean,
really
Ripley
is.
had to do it. Time to turn off the self-destructs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love a bunch of switches that fuck you over.
Yeah, even the cryo stuff, it's like you got to get the tube outside of the other tube and like insert the 4 tubes to make sure you have enough tubes. And I'm like, man, I love a big funk as one tube is slid into the hole that the tube is supposed to go into.
I will say, this is a thing I meant to bring up on Original Alien, and it fits here perfectly. I do love that Alien is all like funk tubes and like actual switches, which of course when they made the original they didn't have like tablets and like screens the way we do, so they would make it that way. But I just feel like when ships are kind of like Star Trek-y and they're all like iPhone screens, I'm like, I just don't think you'd survive space. I think you're not tough enough.
Yeah, like the Wi-Fi goes down and everything collapses.
Yeah,
Like,
but I feel like this is actually wired. And I'm like, yes, wired headphones always have power, but your wireless buds will die on you.
right.
That's how I feel about spaceships. I think they should all be tough, like
Yeah.
old technology.
Yeah.
And I think that really works about the Alien franchise.
I think I fully agree with that, and especially for the settings and scenarios that we see them, which is mining. You know what I mean? That like
Yeah.
there might be like Weyland Yutani executives out there on like the space equivalent of a cruise liner that actually is quite fancy, but we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is like a working class, just functional ship.
Yeah. And I like it. And also, I know you love your funk sounds.
I love a good funk. That
Whenever they pull a cryo tube
that
out,
full funk. Oh, that's a good sound. That's a good sound effect right there.
Makes up for all the currency.
It makes up for a reasonable amount. I mean, I think the big boy makes up for the currency.
Oh man, I know we just talked about him, but he's so cool. Yeah, this is really what makes this movie stand on its own. Is like, this is actually kind of a special new thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like hate how new it is.
Well, and the Alien franchise has tried special new things before, where it's like, Prometheus and Covenant didn't do the traditional xenomorph. It was a little bit different in there. It was the third Alien movie, I believe, where it's an alien dog, a hybrid or whatever. So it's like they've tried this before to be like, what if the alien combined with a different species?
What if it's in Ripley?
Yeah, but it absolutely is never just completely ripped ass the way that this did. This is incredible.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
This was really cool.
Yeah, and not to, you know what? I'll have to give a little compliment to the pretentious lore of the Alien franchise as well. I shit on it enough, but something that I did kind of enjoy is the idea of like the goo.
Uh-huh.
The goo being the speech that like Rook gives, where it's just like, oh, it can create life, or it can create the ultimate predator. And the idea that like the first life was the engineers, it was that progenitor species, and the alien is the last life, and it's like you've created the alpha and the omega, that is just like this is one creature that is a combination of the beginning and the end. And it's just something that there's something a little bit thematic there about the franchise and about combining the first and last race that I find very haunting and interesting thematically, even though normally I hate the goo and I hate all the Prometheus stuff.
I don't mind the goo so much this time, but as I said, I think I'd hate it if it didn't lead to the big boy at the end.
Yeah.
So the goo redeemed itself.
The goo did redeem itself.
Goo did redeem itself. I will quickly say who almost didn't redeem themselves. We already talked about, I do like Rain. I think she's a cool badass. One moment I cannot forgive, though, as much as I like her. Sorry to maybe end on a negative. When she leaves the bleeding pregnant woman to get into the cryotube alone to go save a robot? No, you don't. No, you don't do that. Hey, girl.
Uh-huh.
You leave that robot behind. I'm sorry. Andy's cool.
Yeah.
But your friend is alive and bleeding and pregnant, and you need to get her in a cryotube.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
It was wildly upsetting.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't, like, definitely going to die, as we saw. She made it to the cryotube alive. But she wasn't like, no, I'm good, limping. She couldn't even stand.
No, she couldn't even stand. And
This was the least heroic thing Rain did.
And she did take the juice because things weren't going well.
Because it was the only way she could stand.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that if she didn't take the juice, had she been hit with the face hugger, is what we saw at the end, was it face hugger, baby, black ooze combination? Was the alien impregnated with her and fused with the human through the power of the black ooze? Or do you think that if she didn't take it, she would have been fine, or she would have had a normal chest burster?
I didn't think she even got chest bursted. I thought they had like a throwaway line of like they left her here to get better before they put a seed in her or something.
What? Who left her?
The aliens.
The aliens?
Because the alien like stabbed her and then like put her in like the cocoon.
Yeah.
But I thought she didn't get face hugged. Is what I thought they were saying.
Oh no, she did get face hugged.
Oh, okay.
At some point, I thought she got face hugged.
No, she never got face hugged.
Interesting.
She got stabbed and pulled away.
Yeah, you're right. She didn't.
Only Navarro got face hugged.
Huh. Yeah. So I wonder what would have happened if she didn't take the.
If she didn't take the thing, I think she just would have bled out or lived.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
I think she probably would have lost the baby either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you get stabbed in the chest. You're not.
She also fell a good 40 feet that day too.
Oh yeah. She fell really far.
So she was having a tough day. Yeah. You're right. That was rude of Rain. Yeah. But I think at that point she was just like, I hate all this. We're all dying.
Well, then leave.
Yeah.
We can get on the ship and go.
It does reach a point where it's just like, I hate all this.
If I was that girl and she left me to save a robot, I'd be like, oh no.
You know what? If I was in an alien movie, that would be my last line. Is that I would just go, I hate all this. That would be the last thing that I say before an alien gets me. I want everyone to know that it's just like, I hated every bit of this. I didn't like being here.
Oh man, I think you could go down as like a really beloved character with that kind of death.
Yeah.
As you're getting killed by an alien. I hate all this.
Oh man, I hate all this.
Great franchise though.
Great. Yeah. Great.
Overall, pretty good.
Some great work.
Other than Prometheus.
Yeah.
Which we didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
But overall, great work. But he hates all this as he dies.
Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, it really helps us move up the charts. It helps us in our hearts. Both those things are lovely. And yeah, we see the reviews. We feel good. We are full of confidence. Other potential listeners see the review and they're like, I will listen in. Also full of confidence. You're spreading confidence.
How about that?
How about that? Leave a 5-star review. Spread confidence.
Ooh, I like that. I like that as well. And if you do want to support the show monetarily, well, there is a way to do that. You can do that over on our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. And over on that page, you'll find a bunch of different ways that you can support us depending on what your budget level is. So even if you only have $1 a month that you can afford, you can subscribe at the $1 level and you will get our webcomic a day early. And also those $1 add up and make a huge difference to us in this network and help make it our full-time job. So don't think that you're like, $1. Get on in there, get some bonuses, and help make all this happen. And we do have other levels as well. At the $3 level, you get these episodes early and ad-free. So you could be listening to this the weekend that the movie comes out and use this to help make your decision if you should go check it out this weekend, which we hope you did.
Wildly helpful when we've got a new release. We get these to you as quick as humanly possible so you can plan your weekend accordingly.
As quick as we can. And as well, at the $10 level, at the hero level, you can get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, we did The Crow Salvation.
The best of the Crow sequels.
The best of the Crow sequels, as the pull quote on the poster for this movie is, of which this was only the second sequel at the time. But we talk about that building up to the new remake of The Crow. So that is available right now. If you sign up at the $10 level as well, not only do you get The Crow Salvation, but you get access to the immediate back catalog of all of our bonus episodes. So check out the options and make a decision based on what's in your budget. It's all over at patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. That is patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
Little big thing. I don't know if I want Ash/Rook completely cut or if I just want him in like one scene on a video screen. I want him never to be interacted with. I wouldn't mind if they just found footage of them doing like the experiments and learned all the information that way. And they still just took the chip out of him, but the robot's wrecked. So I think definitely less Ash/Rook to no Ash/Rook. But my biggest plot change is actually a thing that didn't come up because I was waiting to change it. I did not enjoy, as I said, that Rain left her friend to go save Andy because Andy had not proven to be helpful in any way or like he hadn't overcome his programming and proven that he was worth saving. He really was just able to be programmed and then he wasn't the robot she knew anymore. So my big change is in that final fight when Andy gets hurt and Rain gets away briefly. Andy actually overcomes the Weyland-Yutani programming, which is get these things to Weyland-Yutani, and he sacrifice plays so Rain can get away. He goes back to his old programming of his own volition, which is that Rain is the priority, and kind of just overcomes the Weyland-Yutani bad programming because he loves her so much, even though he's a robot. Because I think if that's the case, that he got injured saving her instead of just like standing there, which is what actually happens right now, I would forgive Rain a lot more for leaving her hurt pregnant friend and trying to save him because he'd sacrificed play for her. And then he's more of a heroic element that way if he overcomes the programming himself. So that's going to be my biggest change of like, then you can really get on, like he takes the chip out himself and like throws it away. So then you can really get on board of like, oh no, Andy's a hero. He truly at his core was rewritten and like is imprinted on Rain in a way that is deeper than programming. So it's going to be the biggest change I need, that that Andy is just a hero through and through who overcomes all the bad stuff Weyland-Yutani tries to put inside of him. And then I forgive Rain more for leaving her friend to go save him. So I like everyone better this way. And then, you like your character a little bit more. That's my biggest change. This movie rules. Andrew, what would you change?
I love where you're at for most of that, despite the fact that I'm going to have a different take.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I'm definitely on board for the 80% less Rook and all of that. So that's just an easy one. I fully agree with you there with 100% of that. I think that this is a bleaker story that I would tell. But I think that is also part of the Alien franchise, is about personal victories. And in a world where where corporations control everything, nothing is your friend and everything is falling apart, and it's always bad. So the anti-corporate idea of it, I think that for this movie, it should kind of start with, I think Andy should be the one who lets them know about this space station.
Oh, interesting.
That all of these kids are like looking for a way off, and he's like, I can get us into that space station. I think it should be Andy's idea, and everyone kind of is like jumping on this opportunity to use company property to do it, when in reality he's always been bad.
Oh,
I want Andy to always
He's been Ash the whole time.
He's been Ash the whole time. He's been playing a part. He's been playing a character. And at the end, it seems like he has made a sacrifice play where like Rain's been like, you need to do what's best for both of us. And he stays behind and makes seemingly the sacrifice play while they get away. And he's got the vials of ooze, and they get away with an infected pregnant woman. And it turns out what Weyland-Yutani wanted the entire time was to send an infected person to the independent planet, because there's nothing the company likes less than an independent competitor. So the whole time the company has known what's happened on this space station and has wanted these kids who are trying to get away to the independent system to get away and take a virus with them that will wipe out their competitors. So I think it's just like the company sucks, corporations suck and can never be trusted and never trust their property has always been a part of this franchise. And I think that him being evil from the jump and us as an audience going on that ride of like not knowing, being suspicious, oh, he made the sacrifice play. Oh, fuck, Weyland-Yutani has always been kind of planning this. Makes it very like there's personal victories here, but the corporation is always shitty and is always one step ahead of you because they've ruined the entire world or galaxy in this scenario. It's bleak, but I think that is kind of on with the franchise.
I'm conflicted on this because it is bleak, but it's very good writing. Like it's structurally sound, and it really, you have a theme and it's going off of it. But I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather she goes to a planet where Weyland-Yutani isn't, because I will agree
that they successfully escape, and in this scenario,
I was shocked that like we were sitting there waiting for more scenes, because I'm like, well, they're going to show there's another alien on the ship, because like that's always what happens, but they didn't. So I will say I was surprised that I'm like, does she just get to go to the planet,
or they get picked up by a Weyland-Yutani, or like there's a last minute override and we see Rook on the computer screen again turning them around or something, and
so I did expect that, and so. Yes, I think your movie is very good, but I think it would make me sad, and I like the way this one ends.
I understand. I know it wouldn't be for everyone, but that would be my bleak to be like, when you've let corporations control everything, there's nowhere to get to.
That is an important lesson.
Yeah.
That is an important lesson, because we're heading that way, obviously.
Yeah. You can literally run away from Earth, and we've allowed 2 major corporations to colonize space. Like there's nowhere to run. They control everything, even if you have a personal victory.
Welp.
That's my bleak outlook on the franchise.
Oh no, he hates this.
Dang.
I hate this.
Dang, guys.
Got eaten by the alien, or I got screwed over by the Weyland-Yutani core.
What the hell, dang, guys? I hate this.
Oh man, yeah. But no, it's a great ending.
Yeah, and I like your change as well. I think yours also works. I think a sincere
I've got an optimistic ending, and you've got a bleak ending.
Yes. That is interesting.
So whichever one you guys as a listener are looking for?
Or maybe the movie was right to split the difference between us and create one that satisfied both groups. Because, I like your optimistic ending as well. It's more you, and I think it still works.
I feel mean saying that your pessimistic ending is more you.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Cynical. I'm not pessimistic.
No, you are cynical.
I'm
You're not
cynical.
Because you're not sad, but you're like, fuck this.
I'm not, and I think things can change. But we have to be fighting constantly and aware of the fact that corporations are bad.
The big boy's going to show up and be weird, and you got to fight him.
You got to be ready for that.
Open the airlocks.
Well, that's going to be it for this week for us talking about Alien Romulus. Next week on the podcast, we're going to be back, and we're going to be talking about the new 2024 remake of The Crow.
Let's crow, everybody.
Caw!
That's what we'll do for an hour straight.
We'll
Come
be back.
Listen.
Listen to that next week on the podcast.
In the meantime,
if you want to reach me, You can find me online. I'm most places at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me on Threads and Instagram at Pics of Diana and Tumblr on Words of Diana.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes. And you can check out all the podcasts we make and everything we create over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.